Now, the sharp-eyed listeners amongst you will notice I'm not in a car. That's because this is about cars, but not about a car. So rather than go and sit in the driveway, I thought I'd come and sit in my man cave. So where I am home is St Austell. Now this is significant because this is about St Austell. St Austell looks like this. It's home during the winter to about 30,000 people. If you take in the surrounding areas, it's about 50,000 people. And if you allow for the holiday tourism trade, it's probably about 75,000 people. So, the reason for this is that this morning I was sat on the throne scrolling through Facebook like you do. And this question came up on a St Austell forum page. And I thought, that's interesting. I'm going to do some investigating. And then I noticed that there were two comments. One from Martin Smith and one from Scott Martinholt. Now, as it happens, I know both these people. Martin's my cousin and Scott owns the biggest taxi firm in St Austell. Martin drives a Porsche Macan, so he's all right. Forget about him. However, Scott has some milk floats in his fleet. He has some MG milk floats. He may even have a Hyundai milk float, but he's definitely picked me up in the MG milk float, and we laughed about it at the time, and he said, you shouldn't really be in here, you should get out, but I'm making money out of you and you're pissed and you need a lift home. So it worked for everybody, and the MGs work for him because he does lots of little short trips and he can charge up. He's got a charger at home and he can charge one up while the other one's running, so it works for him. But as he said, it won't work for everybody. And here's why. So the question was, where's there a fast charger in St Austell? Now, Scott answered it, and so did Martin, and both gave the same answer. And it's what I thought, because when I've bought milk floats home, I've had nowhere to charge them. There's plenty of those posts in the ground where you can plug your lead in and it'll charge it within a week, but no fast chargers. And by fast chargers, I don't mean a Tesla supercharger. I just mean a charger that you go up, you tap your card, you plug your milk float in, and it charges it hopefully within about 45 minutes. I don't call that a fast charger. I call that a bloody inconvenience. But nevertheless, that's the definition of a fast charger in milk float world. So, bearing in mind what I said, the population of St Austell is how much? At this time of year, bank holiday weekend, probably about 75,000 people here in total in the surrounding areas. So, how many fast chargers are there for those 75,000 people? One. One per 75,000 people. Isn't that amazing? I've put it on a map. I've done some serious graphic work here, and I've edited the map to show the location of all the fast chargers in St Austell and the surrounding areas. Here it is. Yep, that red dot is it. The only one. It's outside Oswald Bowl, St Austell's premier 10-pin bowling place, run by my mate Scott Patterson. Very good friend, lovely bloke. So if you're in the area and you want to go 10-pin bowling, go and see Scott. Tell him I sent you. You won't get discount, but you might get a bit of abuse. Something to look forward to. So there you have it. This is the situation we're in, where this is the biggest town in Cornwall. You can Google it. It's on the 2021 census. This is the biggest town in Cornwall. It's bigger than Truro, the capital. It's bigger than Newquay, Redruth, all of it. This is the biggest town. It's the highest population. And we also are surrounded by holiday villages, campsites, Airbnbs, cottages, all of it. So we are flooded. That, if you go and scroll back to the photo, you'll see that right in the foreground of the photo is Charlestown, which is where they filmed Poldark, The Eagle Has Landed, Three Musketeers, various other stuff. So it's bloody popular. Also, if you look in the right hand corner, you won't see it because it's in a pit, but the Eden Project is there. So this is proper tourist destination, middle of Cornwall, Very, very busy. Lots of people arriving in their milk floats with nowhere to charge them. And the prospects aren't good either. There's no prospects of any more coming in. If you want a supercharger, you've got to go 10 miles away to a place called Fradden, where at Kingsley Village, very good friends of mine also, they've just installed a load of Tesla superchargers out there. But that's hardly convenient, is it? Driving 10 miles to park up and then after... There is a McDonald's there and a nice M&S, nice big M&S. But nevertheless, it's not like filling up at the petrol station, which is at the bottom of my road, by the way. That's really close. Tesco's, put your card in, fill up, leave. How hard's that? So that's my point. My point is, if you're going to have this stuff forced upon you within the next 6 years, there is no infrastructure. Now, you might think, he's just moaning because it's an Austell. However, I spoke to Jeff Buys Cars earlier on, and he said that he's been in touch with a load of people in Bude. Bude, if you don't know, is North Cornwall, ass end of the world, middle of nowhere. And the charging situation is that bad in Bude that milk float owners are letting other milk float owners park on their driveways and use their home chargers because they have no other way of leaving Bude and getting back to civilization. Who wants to live like that? What sort of third world country idea is that? Excuse me, mate, can I borrow your driveway? Only I've got a shit car and I can't get back to Exeter. Because from Bude, you go... Well, whichever way you go. Yeah, you're going to have to end back at Exeter, which is where the nearest charging station is. Off the top of my head, 60, 70 miles. Maybe even more than that. But at least that. Across the top of Dartmoor as well. Middle of nowhere. Absolutely no charging infrastructure in Dartmoor. It's a moor. Of course there isn't. You might get one of those plug in by the side of the pub 24-hour jobs. That's not going to do any good, is it? So, if you want to come to Cornwall in a milk float, you've got to plan logistically way, way, way ahead of yourselves. Way ahead. Because the charging infrastructure simply isn't here. So you can drive your milk float here. Please come, spend your money. It's how we all make our living. Well, it's not how I make my living anymore. I used to, not anymore. It's how the economy works down here. So we do need your money. Please come and deposit your money and then leave again in your milk float. But you're going to need to charge up before you leave. And you can't. Because your milk float won't get here and back because we're in the middle of nowhere. And I'm 83 miles from Exeter. So that's a 176 mile round trip. So your best bet is to charge up at Exeter, drive down, leave your car, use the shit public transport we've got in Cornwall to go nowhere very fast, and then get in your car and get back to Exeter to charge up again so you can go home. And people wonder why I coined the phrase future my arse. For precisely that reason. That's not life, that's not living. That's logistical nightmares for the sake of a folly of an idea that somehow driving a milk float is going to stop the sea levels rising. They're actually not rising at all. That's a different video for a different day. So there you go. That's my point. My point is, it's shit. But I'm here, so it's all right. And I've got 3 diesel cars outside, so I don't care. But if you're coming here, you need to think about that. I mean, you know, by all means, give me a shout and we'll go for a pint. But if you're in a milk float, it's best I drive. You just park up. Don't you go nowhere in it. Everything's going to be fine. So there you go. The Sunday sermon is done. It's very much a case of future my arse. T-shirt still available on the website, www.evcarnage.com. Sweatshirts and hoodies also available because it's just gone really cold outside, because that's the other thing about Cornwall. It was blazing hot and me and my son were sat outside on the patio, and then all of a sudden it pissed down and went freezing cold. So I hope I've done a world of good for the Cornwall Tourist Board there. See you soon. Future my